The early 14th century. Deep within the heart of West Africa, the Mali Empire sat upon the wealthiest land the world had ever known, waiting to reveal its power. On the throne sat a majestic ruler, possessing a vision far beyond his time, Mansa Musa I. In the year 1324, the king prepared for a legendary pilgrimage that would alter global history forever. Wealth unmeasured was gathered, and the sheer scale of his preparations shook the foundations of the continent. This was no ordinary journey. The Golden King would either elevate his empire to eternal glory or test the limits of global wealth. Beneath the blazing African sun, the countdown for the most extravagant march in human history had begun. The desert sands shifted, and the horizon seemed to turn into pure gold piece by piece. Driven by devotion and supreme authority, Mansa Musa embarked on his sacred pilgrimage to Mecca, leaving his capital with an unmatched aura of majesty. As his colossal presence moved across the wasteland, rumors of his infinite fortune traveled ahead of him, casting a terrifying dread and wonder into the hearts of foreign nations. Every step of this royal court carved deep, lasting impressions into the ancient trade routes once deemed impassable. Armed with the absolute power of gold and sheer resolve, Mansa Musa's empire expanded its cultural and economic shield day by day, hour by hour. Yet, this pilgrimage was not designed to be a silent walk of faith. The imperial caravan, led by the king himself, moved across the Sahara with fierce determination and meticulous military order. Across the dunes, a horrific logistical nightmare confronted any observer, an endless sea of humanity and animals. An army of 60,000 soldiers marched in unison, while thousands of camels carried over 18 tons of pure, untamed gold. The staggering sight rising from the dust, the gleam of solid gold bars, and the royal banners piercing the sky bore witness to the unprecedented brutality of such absolute wealth. With their relentless pace atop the burning sands, the Malian Empire tested the will and endurance of its subjects in the severest way. The march had extended for months, and the brutal conditions of the Sahara sowed seeds of unrest among the foreign territories they crossed. It was during those grueling weeks that Mansa Musa mobilized the most audacious display of wealth in history. The harsh desert was sealed by nature's fiercest elements, yes, but the king's gold would bridge the gaps between civilizations. Hundreds of heralds dressed in the finest Persian silks cleared the path, and massive wooden chests were prepared. Driven by the raw might of thousands of servants and royal guards, the golden galleys of the desert glided over land through the dim glow of the sun, sliding silently toward the borders of Egypt. Awakening to the news of their arrival, the local rulers could not believe their eyes. The economic balance of the region changed overnight, and the golden caravan was now resting in the echoes of the royal drums resounding across the Nile Valley struck the Egyptian Sultanate like an earthquake. The famous, insurmountable distances of the ancient world were now entirely useless against this caravan. Malian guards paraded proudly in the busy streets of Cairo, directly threatening the existing market stability, the city's most vulnerable flank. Local authorities were forced to adjust trade regulations to accommodate the massive influx of foreign travelers. This meant shifting balances and divided economic strength. Musa's brilliant masterstroke had borne fruit, shifting the scales of global recognition entirely in favor of the Malian Empire. The transaction of wealth raged not only in official courts, but also with absolute ferocity within the common marketplaces. Mansa Musa began distributing gold to every citizen he encountered, completely undetected by the laws of supply and demand. In these busy, chaotic, and suffocating market streets, a grim struggle for economic dominance unfolded. The king's objective was to show unparalleled generosity and ignite the flames of charity. Upon realizing this golden peril, local merchants raised their prices, but the sheer volume of gold overran the narrow stalls. And when the gold flooded the city, the market structure ruptured, tearing the local economy from its very foundations. Days turned into weeks, and at last, the day of absolute financial catastrophe arrived. By the end of his stay in Cairo, a massive hyperinflation commenced across all commercial fronts. Millions of gold coins flooded the markets, distributed with massive disregard for value. Despite the warnings of his financial advisors, the flow of gold did not hesitate for a single moment. Atop the trading floors of Egypt, the most violent economic crash in ancient history took place. The value of gold collapsed completely, blended with the agonizing cries of ruined merchants. Both sides lost control of the markets. This was the narrow line between the final sanctuary of a stable economy and the birth of a monetary crisis. Amidst this clash of wealth and ruin, a stark realization emerged within the mind of the king. He had destroyed the host nation. In one hand, he had held the banner of charity, and in the other, an economic weapon deadlier than war itself. Ignoring the pride of his wealth, defying the standard rules of kingship, he attempted to salvage the situation on his return journey. While the markets continued to suffer around him, he pressed on with unyielding faith to fix what he had broken. Then, the monumental moment arrived. Mansa Musa began borrowing back his own gold from local merchants at high interest rates. As the king humbled his treasury to stabilize the markets, this massive intervention gave the global economy its ultimate lesson, the long-awaited herald of modern central banking. Beholding the lessons learned across the desert, a wave of absolute transformation struck the Mali Empire upon their return. Cries of progress and knowledge echoed through the royal courts. The architectural goals of Timbuktu, the legendary trading hub that had stood as a simple desert town for centuries, were now completely redefined. Renowned Islamic scholars and architects were recruited. Grand mosques and universities rose one after another. A deep, majestic, and scholarly atmosphere began to blanket the empire. A golden civilization was cementing its name into global history at the base of its own proud universities. And in the twilight of his historic reign, the great ruler looked upon his legacy. He was no longer just a king. He was Mansa Musa, the conqueror of wealth, the sovereign who closed an age of isolation and opened a new era of global connection. Amidst the modern gaze of historians, promising a legacy of unmatched prosperity, his story advanced through the centuries. This monumental journey tore away the dark curtains of African isolation and threw wide open the gates of global fascination. Mali was now recognized on European maps as a golden superpower, a metropolis of the medieval world. And this grand finale